I'm Mesha. Welcome to Every Life is a Story. And today I am just thrilled to have someone that I've only recently met on Facebook, but I've already come to respect greatly, and I'm very honored that she took the time today to do this for us. And I'm just going to let her just take right off because it's her story. Millie Ashmore.
Thank you. I met Mesha, like she said, through Facebook, through me, through other people who have a very similar story to mine in the sense that we want to be better. And she's amazing and an active, wonderful member of our Facebook community, which I will definitely be talking more about. And I'm really grateful, Mesha, for this opportunity. Thank you.
No, thank you. I want to thank you publicly for just taking me in and loving me whenever my dad died. Thank you. Um, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And I've gone through some rough times lately, and you've taken me in other times too, and you didn't even know me, and you just took me in and loved me anyway, and you provide this very safe, private environment in a very public world. So thank you very much. Your community on Facebook is very special. And that can only be because you're a special person. And so, Millie Ashmore, tell us your story.
Thank you. Oh wow, where to start? You know, I want to just touch right away on the fact that I just recently started this blog for this very purpose, and my blog is called Rebel Christian, and it, it's such a journey for me because I love to write. I remember loving to write from being a little child and always being told that I was a good writer, and I had great people around me who poured into me, and I had just as many people around me who weren't so great. So I got to see both sides of that coin. But writing was always a place where I could talk about anything, be anyone, do anything.
Yes.
And I lost that for a long time. I lost that. I went through a poor choice marriage, and that took a long time to recover back from. I'm remarried now to my best friend, and it's such a difference. I understand when people say that it's such a difference. And I said I would never marry again, but I was wrong. I was wrong. I would just say to people who ask me when I tell them that, don't say never, but just say I won't marry wrong again if I can avoid it. And I'm glad I didn't. The
Yes.
name Rebel Christian, uh, I can't even explain fully where it came from, except for the fact that I always felt a little bit like an outsider in everything that I did.
Everything, not just
Um,
in Christianity, but in everything.
in everything.
Okay.
I didn't grow up Christian. As a little kid, we didn't grow up really in any specific denomination. Um, when I was a little bit older, probably like between 7 and 10, somewhere in that range, my mom converted us to Catholicism, and I was. I laugh now, but I was like, just I loved churches. Like I was always drawn to churches even before we converted. I went 2 feet in, and I've always been a 2 feet into anything kind of person, but 2 feet in. Um, for many years I was like super like little child Bible beater, and I just loved it. And I, had I don't talk about it much in my story because it's like some weird parts, I guess, like that I'm still coming to terms with. But I had really at an early age thought I was going to be a nun, and my parents held me back from that. They felt I was too young to make that decision. And I developed what I call one of my first resentments. And I talk about resentments in that sense because I am now a little over 3 years sober. I'm sober since May 2016. And I learned a lot about the fact that I internalized things. I didn't learn how to cope with them the way that maybe other people do. Instead, I chose unhealthy coping mechanisms, whether it was food, and then eventually alcohol, drugs, and other poor choices. And that was hard. I obviously did not grow up to be a Catholic nun. Um, Instead, I'm a married woman, married twice, and I have four beautiful sons. They are 16, 10, no, I'm sorry, 11, almost 12 next month, 10 and 6. And God knows better. God knows better, and that's a hard lesson that I'm just slowly starting to learn. And I just wanted to find a way to share my story. I actually had a blog about 1 or 2 years ago that it was like testing the waters, and I didn't know really how to find my voice, but I was just starting to find it. And then I realized today, and today I mean in the last few months, that like my story is my faith, and what I've been able to accomplish through my faith, even before I even knew I had my faith back. So Rebel Christian, and it just launched. The site just launched, and this month I plan on releasing my first blog with that to share my journey through kind of everything that I'm talking about here, from being a young child to being a teenager who found alcohol and then harder substances, points where I was homeless, points where I then together. Um, and I say homeless, but I was homeless by choice. There were a lot of times where I left. I would leave a situation because they didn't want me to do things that were harmful to myself. And I wanted to. I wanted to do things that were harmful to myself.
Wow.
Um,
So
and
part of
yeah,
it, and you don't have to get specific. I'm just trying to figure out, were you on one of the coast? Were you a Midwestern girl? What part of the country are we talking?
so I am originally born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. Because I'm just,
Yeah,
the
I'm a
country
Brooklyn girl. You can take Brooklyn.
do things differently, so sometimes when you know what part of the country someone things kind of, because I was born in the Midwest, so things are just different parts of the country. So a Brooklyn girl. Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
grew up in Coney Island, right by the rides, not far from the beach.
Cool.
Um,
Okay.
I actually was born in Brighton Beach, and my father was in a car accident. They didn't think he would survive. He did. They didn't think he would walk. He did.
Hmm.
Um, by the time he came home from the hospital, he was the income winner at the time. My mom was a stay-at-home mother, and we fell on hard times. When my dad made a full recovery, he got a good job in Manhattan. We moved there for a few years due to management changes. And my first understanding that people sometimes just don't like people because of their skin color. My father's Spanish, and that was why they didn't want him there anymore in that particular part of Manhattan. He lost his job, and we ended up going to Coney Island, where I finished kind of growing up, if you will. But
Wow.
I have a special place in my heart now, for Brooklyn and for all that we went through, because it's shaping me into the person I am today. So when I say I would choose to be homeless, I was jumping over terminals, staying on the trains, going wherever I wanted, doing whatever I wanted. But
Wow.
I was not portraying myself as that person, because I also somehow understood that I had to fit into society. And I had this weird wall up that I used to relish the fact, that I was like a chameleon, who whoever I was around, whatever I was around, I would try to adapt some of those qualities. And it turns out that's just a survival instinct. I didn't know that.
Yes. Yes. Bless your heart. It
So,
is. Yes.
so I didn't know that. And the thing with that is that because I did that, a lot of people didn't know the things I was doing. They didn't know when I was homeless because I didn't look like a homeless little kid. I didn't talk about being homeless. They didn't know that
Right.
I was drinking or using substances because I didn't talk about it. Or I only talked about it with the people I was doing it with. But I had other groups of friends who saw Millie's so smart and she passes her classes, and like she's so fun. So I was very good at concealing what I needed to conceal to be able to continue to hurt myself. And I a lot of times knew that I wanted to hurt myself. I didn't know why. I didn't know what was wrong. Um,
So
but
when
I
you
knew that
when you
something
say
wrong.
hurt yourself, you mean by drinking too much, or by using drugs, or
By
okay.
I know at one point in my teenage years, I tried cutting, and that
That's
actually
what I
became a
was wondering.
physical habit.
Okay.
And I'm really blessed. I don't have many deep scars to show from that, but if I found out that there was a way that I could bring harm to myself, it always kind of tempted me to try it.
What do you think
What I
that? Why do you think you wanted to hurt yourself?
I was very empty. Um,
Yeah.
I didn't know why I was very empty because I didn't really have a way to understand it. No, and because I was so good at hiding it, and I had actually just recently spoke about this with somebody who, now knows me now and knows my story, is like amazed. They were like, I would have never known you went through what you went through because I knew you then, and you just never, you never did anything. You never cried in front of people. You never talked in front of people. You were just so good at being what people needed you to be. And I was like, that
That's
was my survival technique. But
you. That's what you do. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, and what I found when I finally hit my bottom and entered recovery, and I went through a 12-step program for that, was I was waiting for the world to fix me. I was like an outside in trying, like trying to fix whatever was wrong with me from outside sources. And when they didn't work, I raged, I acted out. And drinking and using were ways of escape, and cutting was a way of me kind of like telling myself, you deserve this. What happened through recovery was I found faith, and not immediate, not strong, and not a perfect Christian faith either. It was the first time, though, that I understood that I was not alone, and that being happy was an inside out job, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And that really just began, the last 3 years has really began an amazing self-development journey that I've always wanted to be on, never knew how to be on, but I'm finally here. I can look back at those times now and realize what I was missing was faith, faith that even though things don't always go my way, even though things aren't always good, even though things, aren't always perfect, that they are how they're supposed to be, and that I can come through that, and my faith has been my rock. It's been my salvation, through everything. And I truly believe that now I know I went through those things so that I could share those things and say that you can come out on the other side and you can be better for it. And my goal with Rebel Christian is to show that and to share that so that others who, and not just those in Christianity, but Christianity is strong for me. That's my faith. But that others know that they can find their faith, and through their faith they can find their voice and they can help each other. Because really, ultimately, I know when I'm working with others cohesively, and even if we're not on the same path, but when we're working with each other to help those on whatever path they're on, I feel like my life's much better. I feel like my life's much better knowing that I have amazing people now around me today. That's for sure.
I I truly believe, and from years of what I did, and a lot of it, I ended up doing adult education. I found that every time I taught a class, I ended up learning more myself because every time you give to others, you're giving to yourself, and you don't even realize it, and you're in the middle of it, and you're like, you have these aha moments. You're helping someone else, and you're, whoa, wow.
You're so right. I was just at a recovery breakfast this morning, and one of their speakers was saying, if you want to learn, teach,
Me,
because it reinforces everything.
I get so
And
that phrase, "You can't do teach." That's just so much crap. Those of us who have taught so much, the reason we love it is we know every time we do it, you feel good because you're helping other people, but you learn, and so we're consummate learners because you've got to learn to teach, but then while you're teaching you learn even more during the process, and you learn from the people you're teaching as well. So I mean, it's just this ongoing, it's just it builds you up. I mean, you're giving of yourself and you're getting so much back, and so it's to me to be perfectly honest, to me, teaching is for me kind of a selfish thing. I get so much more from it.
Yeah, it really is though. It's
Yeah,
the most selfless, selfish thing I have, and I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
selfless, selfish thing. I love that. I'm going to use that. I'm just
You can definitely use that.
what I
I
think.
heard that from someone, and I said I'm going to use that, and they told me I can, so I'm sharing it.
Oh, yeah, well, you and I are going to use it, and we'll let somebody else. Yeah, the selfless, selfish teachers. Yeah,
I
it's
love it.
amazing. Yeah, it is. It's an amazing thing to teach. Another thing that you hit on is I used to be very active in church. I'm not as active in church now. I mean, I go obviously, but I'm not as active in church per se. But I do believe that whatever's happened to us in our lives, our in church terminology, our witness, if you will, um, our story is we go through those things in order to share them. I think that's part of why we go through them is to share them with other people. We didn't just go through them for the pain and personal growth, but also through the sharing of them, we do heal and we get better, but we're helping other people too. So there's multiple reasons why we've had to go through the things we've gone through. And I think one of the big ones is that on the other side of it, we can help other people.
I agree with you. And you touched on something that, like, I try to, when I mentor other women, especially in recovery, pain and personal growth. And I hear a lot of people who want to, I see this all the time, people who want to grow. They want to grow. They want to grow themselves. They want a personal growth. How do they do this? And I am a firm believer that if you want to grow personally, help others. Help others. Get outside of yourself if you want to grow yourself. And believe, I know personal experience because when I was always focused on me, I didn't grow. When my mentor flipped the switch and said, "Hey, this try my way. This is what worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you." I grew in leaps and bounds, and I'm super blessed that somebody took the time to work on me, which helped her grow. And I pay that forward by working on others, which, like you said, whenever I teach someone, whenever I sit with someone, I grow. I learn more. And that's why, as selfless as it is, it's also selfish, and it's a good kind of selfish. And there's not many good kinds of selfish anymore in my life, so I'll keep the teaching one for sure.
Well, and another thing that you said that when your mentor told you what worked for her, she's like, let's try what worked for me. When you do that, you're sharing, you're letting your guard down, and you're saying, okay, this is what happened to me. And so many people, they want to grow, but they don't want to share. They think they can grow, but keep their walls up. And we can't. We've got to let our walls down. And vulnerability is hard, but as long as we've got those walls up, we only can get so far. And
I agree. That word vulnerability, it was a word I despised. I did not want to be vulnerable in front of people. I was worried that people would hurt me. And what I learned is that they will. That
absolutely,
was the key. They will. People will. But here was the crazy part. I will inevitably hurt people too, and a lot of times without meaning to, because we're just people. We say things. We wake up on the wrong side of the bed sometimes. We get cut off in traffic, or more serious things. But when my faith is grounded in my higher power, and my faith being Christianity, my faith is founded in Jesus, for me, I don't need the comfort from other people because I can close my eyes and have comfort inside myself and just allow others to be today. And that's allowing me to be more vulnerable and share my story more with others.
I think you were saying that people will hurt you, but you unintentionally hurt other people. I have found lately that when I've been hurt, if I've just stopped and just taken a breath before I'm so hurt by this, and looked at it, that probably from the other person's perspective, I've probably in their mind done exactly what I think they've done to me.
Yeah.
You know? because if you think about it, lots of times if you look in the mirror, it's what you think you're feeling has been done to you, you've probably done yourself. And as you're saying, it's not intentional. The situations just are what they are, and we're moving, we're living, we're just being, we're doing, we're just doing. We're just living, and we have these emotions, and if we stop and analyze them and look at where the other person's at, probably we're projecting back what we've done ourselves, to be honest. And so it is very complex, and it is hard to be vulnerable, and it certainly is. None of us like to be hurt, but unless we let those walls down and are willing to share ourselves and look at ourselves honestly, which nobody wants to do. I mean, I don't like it, but we also have to be careful. We have to be careful who we open up to. And so, have you had any? Because I know I don't tend to worry about that a whole lot. I get warned all the time to be careful, and I just kind of say, I, I just kind of just don't worry about it. But so, how do you feel about that? Do you worry about it much, or do you just Katie bar the
I
door?
think I'm like you. I don't think I put too much thought into it.
I'm told all the time too, but I'm kind of like,
Yeah. I will say this. I've learned that not everybody wants to hear my story, and that's okay.
that's okay.
That's totally okay today. I used to be super sensitive about that. Like, well, why don't they want to hear? Like, I might know something they need to know, and the truth is, they actually just might not need to hear what I have to say, and that's cool today. Um, Actually, it touches on what I was going to bring up next. One of my, and honestly, I have no idea some days how this group got started, but we developed this amazing Facebook community.
It is.
I say we because other people helped me with it, but they say I because I formed it. But I believe everything is a we thing, and it's called Rise Together. It's women empowering and loving and supporting other women, and I can only bring to the table what I have to offer, and that is my vulnerability and my humility, and allowing myself to just share with them. And I think those who choose to come into my circle, like we need each other's story, not just them needing mine. So I say for me, and I don't, this won't necessarily work for everyone, but for me, I'm just going to share. You can take what you like, you can leave the rest. And I'm going to do the same.
Yes.
And this way I don't have to worry so much. I don't need to screen you. I'm just going to be an open book, and you can pick the chapters you like. You can choose to close the book and go on and find another book to read. And I might have to do the same. And that's all okay today. Because that's why we all have different experiences and struggles. My story isn't your story. Your story isn't mine, but someone needs part of each of ours. And, I won't be so selfish as to hold my story back, but I will share it to the best of my ability and hope that it can help someone in some way.
Absolutely right. What I tend to do is when people invariably will say to me, "Okay, I know there's something wrong with you, but you don't ever look sick." And I'll say, "Well, okay, so how much do you want to know? I can give you the penny answer. If you're just, how much do and I will answer as much as they want, or do they really just want, or if I can tell that they really just want the 2 cent answer, I'll give them and but if I can tell that they're wanting more in depth, I'll just ask, is this too much? Do you want more? Are you sure you want that? Or if they're like,
Yeah.
tell me more, I'm like, are you sure? Because I don't, I'm like, you don't know what you're getting into here, because if you really want to know, I will really tell you. You've got somebody here who's not afraid to tell the story, and
That's me. That is me.
yeah, those who are interested, usually what I find out is, and those who are truly interested, they're interested for a reason. They kind of already have an idea what I'm going to say, or their interest perks up when they hear what I start with, and they say it clicks with something, and they're wanting to know about it because they've got somebody in their life or whatever, and And so before it's over, they're like, I've been needing to know about this, and they're glad. So, but if they don't want to know about it, then I just kind of give them the little, and go on. But I'm the same way. It used to be, but this people need to know about this, and then I got like, no, they don't. If they don't want to know, they don't need to know.
Exactly. I'm the same way. And I agree with you. What you said is if somebody's asking me, usually it's for a reason.
Right.
And I do feel an obligation to at least try to assess the reason. I won't push that boundary. I've done that before and I'm like, okay, I'll just ask some good prompting questions like, like how much do you want to know? Like you said, all the same very similar questions.
Yeah.
Um, and what I'll find is that sometimes it is just curiosity. But sometimes it's because they either have identified with something that I've said or done, or they know someone who they think that they want to put me in touch with. And, I'm in recovery. My husband's in recovery. We're blessed to both have sobriety in our life. And we do get asked to speak to other people. And today that's a blessing. So, for us that we have the ability to ask, to go help others and be asked that. So I'm always mindful of that. And I had to touch on, I have fibromyalgia, and I just recently started talking about that more. A good friend of both of ours, I know I met through social media, a lot of amazing women, Suzanne. It was
Suzanne.
stories like her, and it was other women like seeing your blogs and seeing her and seeing Leah and seeing these other women who are so open and talking about their struggles and their and turning that into a strength and then focusing on their strengths and helping other people that I thought what do I never held back parts of my story for any reason besides I didn't know how to explain it. And like I hear people call fibro the invisible illness and the silent disease and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, like as I know from being in recovery for addiction, I'm not going to stigmatize it any more than what it is. I don't need to know everything about it. Because for me, it's just not my main focus. It's a more mild fibro for me, and I don't always have too many flares, although it can really hold me up. And sometimes I just want to like soak in a hot bath for hours and shut the world out. But now I'm okay with talking about it. And what I found was, and this just recently happened, by me being open about just, having a rough day and being in a fibro flare and trying to find relief, a family member of mine who I didn't know was going through that reached out to me, and we ended up having an amazing conversation. And and you probably know this firsthand, but it made me feel better. Maybe not so much physically, but I felt better, and it just made me want to get up and do a little bit more that day. And I think sometimes maybe that's why I'm prompted to share. It could be just as much for me as it was for them. Like I need that too.
Yeah, just like you were saying, we were talking earlier about how teaching always helps us. Sharing about your fibromyalgia, it's the same principle. It's the same principle. It's anytime you give of yourself for any reason, it comes back and it helps you. It's a remarkable principle that giving in the end you get from giving. It's a
I I believe that 100%. I
principle.
have definitely received so much more that I'm more open to giving. And there's days where I can see when I'm not, and I just kind of have an off day, and I'm like, yep, I was a little bit more selfish today than normal. I better check myself. So
Yeah, yeah. It's so the Facebook group it's a very interesting dynamic too, because it's like we're all uplifting and supporting each other, but it's kind of like got this business vibe to it. I mean, there's so women growing businesses, and it's like it kind of explained the group because it's kind of it's a different group.
yeah, it really is. I mean, I hear that all the time, and because women will private message me and thank me for this group,
Yeah,
and And I always say you're welcome, but in my mind, I'm like, man, I just don't know how to explain this. But I will say this: I have two other admins with me, and they're amazing, Cassidy and Shannon. And I've given them shout outs on the group because they deserve it. Cassidy and I, we work together. We're friends now. We don't work together anymore. She's moved on to a different phase of her career, but we've stayed friends. And she had approached me. So I was working, I was repping a makeup line, and she's young and vibrant, and I said, listen, I want you to come do this with me. I'm not doing this because I'm super in love with makeup, but I super love business, and I do believe in network marketing because if done right and done with a reputable, strong company, you can meet amazing people, and it did lead me to meeting amazing people.
Sure.
And Cassidy and I, our friendship grew, and she was like, I know this isn't like fully your thing, so I have this thing I want to create, and it was like a support group kind of thing. And we've been talking about it for a while and bouncing around ideas, thinking how we were going to start it. And in the course of this, I was starting to venture into more little, at-home based businesses, writing, and I was trying to find a way to present everything, like package it all up and say, here, all my friends, this is everything I do, instead of having all these other groups. So, the most amazing group, I will be very honest, and I do share it, started as a way that I could share my business story with other people, but I wanted to also allow them to share theirs. But I believe in group conscience, meaning that as a group, what I may want may not always be what's best. And as the group formed, what I found was that it really just kind of became its own life, an entity. I do like the focus on different women's businesses, especially at-home businesses, because I know so many amazing mothers, women who are building reputable businesses from their home, whether it's with product that they make or, tapping into an existing company and networking that business out. I've found amazing products that I love through those women that have, given me a lot more confidence. So I still wanted to keep that element. But what I realized, and when I picked the name Rise Together, the idea of the group Rise Together was that we would all find success together. Okay. But of course, that the name grew into more than that, because it's not just about success. It's just about life and being there for each other. And the group just grew into something beyond my wildest dreams. It's wonderful. Women have come from all walks of life. They may not be working a business and they want nothing to do with the networking, and they're not trying to buy products, and they're welcome there, and they share their story. They share their experience, strength, and hope. They share amazing tips and tricks, and you'll see people put up beauty tricks and workout tips. And my only, what we watch for, one thing that we don't tolerate, and we've never actually had this as a problem in our group, but just no judgment. Everyone has an opinion. And I've never seen another Facebook group where people are so respectful of each other. I think we have the best group ever. Like,
it is so unique. And here's the odd thing. I got in pretty early. I got invited in very early in the group. And I was there a good bit, and I'm like, for a good while, and I'm like, so what's all this business stuff going on here? I mean, it took me a bit to even figure out that the business component was even there, because I was so honed in on all the support stuff. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, up here, there's on this day, like, oh, this is a business group too. And so that was like in my head. I didn't even get that part, and I'm like, so that's what all this stuff is about over here. That's how loving and supporting the group is the whole business part of it. I didn't even catch. I'm like, so every once in a while people are throwing their products in here, which I didn't mind, because I'm supportive of somebody being able to support themselves. So I was good with it, So, and then I would see your little reminders about, no, today is the day for, and I'm like, today is the day. Well, what does she mean today is the day for, and then I'm like, ooh, shiny thing. And I'd be over to where we were supporting money again. So I was on that, and so you can see what my focus is. It's obviously not products. I was like, ooh, got to support somebody over here, or here's something funny or something, and so it really took me just stepping back one day and saying, okay, I got to get a handle on this. What is this about? And I'm like, holy smokes, this group is about women in business. I had no clue. And I joined really, really in the beginning almost.
We used to have a schedule, and then, like I said, so the administrators, they're great. We meet monthly, the three of us, and we brainstorm. We chat daily. We have a weekly schedule.
Yes.
We basically made some very simple rules as far as the business. Anyone can post anything about their business, but they can only do it once a week. And the reason for that is, as much as we love and respect everybody's business, it's also not a spamming group, and we don't ever want anyone to feel that way. And so the women have taken it upon themselves, and they're amazing to know if they've posted about their business or not. We never have had an issue. They're very respectful of that rule. And they have had positive feedback. I am in some of their VIP groups, and I see their VIP groups growing with their new Rise Together friends. And then what we developed was kind of like these hashtag days, so like we make sure as the administrators that we stay active, and we take turns every day to make sure, to be posting and reading comments. And I don't think I've missed one comment since the group started. And if it's just leaving a little heart, if that's all I can do, but it even got to the point where we had a water challenge and we started a chat. And if people want, they can be in the Rise Together chat group. And that gives them extra support. And, we've had women who maybe their goal for the day is just to, we had one woman and a new friend of mine who her goal was to run 3 times that week. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to check with you by the end of the week. And it sounded silly, but I made myself a reminder because I'm a very forgetful person. So people go, I cannot believe you do so much because you can't remember anything, but I write everything down. And I reminded myself to check with her, and she had gotten in 2 of those 3 runs. And I was like, there you go. And that's what Rise Together became, was us checking on each other to hit our goals. And you and I had talked about this before the interview started. One of my goals, now that I'm further along in recovery and I have so many other amazing things to go on, is I want to get healthier. I want to get fitter. And
you did,
and I'm on my own journey for that. Yeah, I talk a lot about that on my social media. And you know what? For the first time though in my life, Misha, it didn't start from a place where I hated myself anymore. And that had always been what made me fail before. And I really see other women struggle with this, where they think if they shame themselves enough, if they just convince their minds that they're ugly enough and fat enough or too skinny, that they'll change. And I'm like, no, you need to come from a place of love. You need to come from a place of love. Like, Millie, I am beautiful and good enough. And now I deserve to be a healthier, fitter, better version of that. And it's a little bit of a process because I want to really learn how to live a more natural lifestyle. And when you grow up in a very processed food, 25-cent bag of chips kind of lifestyle, it's a learning curve to get healthy. I work out daily. I share that journey. I work out daily most days.
Yes, I grew up in that same world, and I pretty much still got both feet in it. Not both feet. I eat a lot of healthy stuff, but I'm not. I'm not one of those. I don't ever say that I can't positively, absolutely cannot have something, or then that's what I want. So that's
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we all have ways. Like my husband, he has to do the absolute, I cannot have that, or he's going to have as much of it as he wants. And I can't do that route, because if I say I can't have it, that's the very thing I'm going to keep eating until I get that. So our style is exactly opposite. So
I'm more like you. I'm you.
Well, and everybody's style is different. And Suzanne and I actually, we kind of had some play back and forth on her news side about that. I'm the one who was joking about, do I get kicked out if I say my favorite things are cookies and ice cream?
And you know what? I'm just like you. She'll ask some of those questions. I love her new site. I learned so much from them, and I borrow all their tips because there's so many great ones. But, one thing that I realize is that when I don't hold myself, like you said, like I don't tell myself I can't. Everything in moderation.
Absolutely.
I'm both feet into my recovery, but it's a moderate, it's moderation. I have to balance life. And, this morning we were at a breakfast and I love bacon and eggs and home fries. And, I had some fruit and I had, a little bit of extra sugar in my coffee. And I was just like, you know what? I'm out with friends and I'm going to enjoy this good breakfast and this good time and this fellowship. And I'm not going to worry so much. And, what ends up happening is I'm okay. I'm okay. And I realize that I'm just nourishing myself and I'm treating myself. And now, like maybe at lunch, I actually find because I've been softer on myself, I crave a little bit of salad or something healthier, whereas before I was very punishing to myself, and I would have this crazy mentality. And I think people can struggle with food and their fitness just as much as they can with alcohol or any other substance because we think that we have to live up to some, standard of physical attributes. And I see it a lot, and I'm just as guilty of that. And I had a very unhealthy relationship with food, and when I really think about it, it might have been my first addiction. I used food as a coping mechanism instead of a nourishing tool.
Sure.
And I'm learning now to change my mentality with how I view eating. And part of that has come from amazing women like Suzanne and Leah and just listening to their stories and other women like them and learning for myself. I love working out daily. Some people know from my Facebook that one of my sons, my 11-year-old, is doing it with me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right
right
there.
there. And he's like me. He's my mini
It looks
me.
like you. It looks like you too. I'm like, oh my God, that child. You could not deny that child if she had to.
Nope, nope, and he wouldn't let me, and he acts like me, thinks like me. Although I can like it's some days we can really butt heads, man. I feel like I'm fighting myself with him, but
You are.
I have him. He reminded me that we're working out tonight, and I was like, yes, we are, buddy. You are absolutely right. We have a workout date planned, and I love that, but now I'm on the next part of my journey, and Rise Together has been great for me with that because there's so many women that I meet that I reach out to. I have a personal coach I work with in the sense that like her and I communicate daily. We're friends. She helps hold me accountable for my goals. And what I love about accountability is if you get with the right person and the right group of people, they're not it's not about scolding someone into doing what they need to do. It's about
Not
gently reminding them how to get to where they told you they wanted to get to.
right.
And I have those people in my life. I even consider you one of them, like with this interview, and it just it keeps me focused on the fact that where I came from, I never have to go back there. And I'm always going to be a work in progress. I'm always going to have another goal. I hope and pray for myself that I'm always trying to achieve being a better person. And whether it's a physical way, a spiritual way, or mental way, or an emotional way, that I'm always trying to grow into a better version of myself.
You're going to be because that's who you are. You're going to be. You're going to be. And you're very welcome. What I find with social media, unfortunately, is so much of it is, and not groups, because groups are meant to be locked down and safe. I mean, that's what a group is supposed to be. But
Mm-hmm.
pages, unfortunately, people have done that with pages too. And I get some of it, but um, we should be out there cross promoting and promoting one another. And so many people aren't doing that. And you were just so shocked when I said, no, get on my pages, get your out there. And you're like, what? And you're like, whoa, what? And I'm like, before, because I
You
don't
don't see a
agree with
lot of that. You just
that.
don't. You don't see a lot of people going, let's build someone else up.
No, that's what I do. That's what I do. I that's what they're there for, is to cross promote. And so that's what they're there for. And my people expect that, because Fibro Life is, yes, it's about fibromyalgia, but I want to minimize fibro and I want to maximize life. You girl are like Whew, you are life. So your stuff on that page brings life to that group. Why would I not want that there? And there's like 10,000 people that follow that. Of course, Facebook keeps 10,000 people from actually getting there, but um, but whatever the algorithm lets get there, that's going to help you. So why would we not do that for one another? I mean, that's how people should be together, and that's what you're trying to do with the group. And that's how people should be to begin with. In my
Yeah.
That's how people should be with one another. And that's how I see all of this. That's how I see that the world should work. We should be interacting and lifting each other up and helping each other. So absolutely, you use my pages. You get in there and you just go, girl. You just go for it. But you're always going to be that person. You're always going to be somebody who is working to do the next thing. You're going to be looking at what's the next thing, because that's how you think and that's who you are. And that's a beautiful thing. And I relate to that so much because that's what draws us to one another. That's what our energy is, and that's what draws us to one another. And that's what makes your story so inspiring, is because there are other people out there who want to do things, but they're thinking, I can't do that, or nobody will follow me, or whatever. Yes, they will. They will, won't they?
Yeah, I agree with you so much. One of the things that I'm doing right now, I'm halfway through my life training, my life coach licensing and certification.
Yes.
And I held myself back from doing that because I thought, well, who is gonna, want me to help them? And over the last year and a half, after helping so many people, whether it be in group settings, getting the opportunity to share my testimony through my church, my husband sharing his testimony, we've been asked to come to speaking events, and then a lot of one-on-one work. A few amazing things came from that. We started a support ministry. It's called Rise with Grace Addictions Ministry, and it's not just for those with alcohol or drugs. It's for any problem, whatever. And we meet twice a month locally in my area. I'm now in Pennsylvania, and we meet in town over from where I live in a beautiful little coffee shop, and
I saw that.
it's great.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. And then I realized, you know what? If I can do this, I can life coach, and I've had so much positive feedback and already so much experience with it. Why not get my certification? And it's and obviously the theme of my life is something about rising. So it's Rise Above Life Coaching, and that will be coming out.
Yeah, you're kind of all about rising. So I'm getting that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I've just felt so pushed down my whole life. And for a long time, I blamed the world for it. Then I blamed myself for it. And now I feel free. I literally feel like I have wings most days, and I'm just like flying high, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I finally rose past all those things. I rose above my addiction. When I named the ministry Rise with Grace, it was because I rose above that addiction with unmerited favor and unmerited love, and it was nothing I did to deserve that, but I was gifted it. And I know that now I can show my gratitude for that gift of sobriety by helping others rise above their own problems. When I came up with the group Rise Together, it was because I wanted us to uplift each other, and it wasn't just about me, and it wasn't just about one other person or someone specific. It was all of us together. And when I came up with the life coaching name Rise Above, it was because truthfully, when I'm mentoring other women, it's because there's something that they want to rise above. They identify what it is they want to work on, and I'm there to help guide them through that process.
I think you just need a business card that just has rise.
That's funny you say that. I have a girlfriend who is part of Rise Together, Lindsay. She just started Synthesize. It's a company she's working on and helping other companies. And
Uh-huh.
she is helping me, and she is coming up with my slogan and motto. And she said the same thing. And when she's working out with that, it's beautiful. I'm excited to see the finished product with it.
be, because that is your theme, and so you can take that and you can just keep going with it. And I think it just needs to say, Millie Ashmore, rise.
I love that.
I think that's what it needs to say, because I think that is your story, and I think it's always going to be your story. You have been rising. You're going to continue to rise, and you're not going to do it by yourself. You're going to continue to make sure that those around you are rising as well.
That's my goal. That's exactly my goal in life, and I feel like that's my purpose. And I have one last thing that I'm super excited about, and I guess I'm going to share it this way because I think this will be super exciting. My husband knows, and this was a huge decision for me because again, I just held myself back, but I just started the enrollment process for my undergrad degree for communications. I am working, yeah, I am going to be attending Liberty University Online campus.
Mhm.
It is one of the world's largest Christian-based universities. I am focusing on business communications and writing because of how much I love that. And I am also going to be using a lot of my extra classes, obviously, to fill up with ministry and service work studies. So I should be actually enrolled for March. So on top of everything else, I'm going to be back in college, and I just can't believe that. I'm 35. We just bought our first home, our own home. Our life has just really come together. We've been blessed not just with the physical things, but with every aspect of my life. I feel has been rewarded some way, and I just thought, you know what, like, again, instead of me holding myself back, why not do it? And my husband just fully supported the decision. I checked out so many schools, Misha, and I just thought I had made the final decision, but that's how God works. The night before I pulled the plug on one school, he had Liberty fall in my lap, and it's exactly where I need to be. And of course, I found out, although it's an online school, another close friend of mine also just enrolled, and we already have plans for study dates. So I'm super excited about everything that's happening for my life this year for 2020.
Because you are the type person that having that support and being that support is what's going to help you be successful at that. And so that is, yes, that's wonderful that it's going to be that way. This is fantastic. So you are, once again, rise.
Rise, definitely.
I don't know who is helping you with the business, but they are spot on. It is rise. That's what it is. That's what you rise. That's just it. Rise. Millie Ashmore, rise. That's
Love
it.
it.
That's it. I'm telling you, that is it. That's all you need is just rise. And then flip it over, and on the back side, you can put your different divisions. And then as you add, they change, just change the back side and keep the front side.
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Anything else?
That covers it. I didn't realize just how much we have but going on, but it's all great things, and that's my story.
Your story is enormous. It is what is the word? Inspirational, of course, and aspirational, but anything is going to be whenever the theme of it is rising. And so, are you still there? Because it looks like we've frozen. Okay, all right. Okay, good. Well, folks, you've met Millie, and Millie is Rebel Christian with Rise Together on Facebook, and you've heard all the rising she's doing. The only thing I didn't hear in there was Martha White self-rising, and that's because we're trying to get skinny. We're not above that. Because we don't deny ourselves totally anything. We're not those people.
That's definitely not.
And obviously, I'm the one that throws humor into everything. Sorry about that. That's just what I do.
I love it.
Now you're back. Complete. Thank you so much. And your group reflects you. That's why I now understand the group so much more, because you are so many things. And that's why the group is all of this, because you're all of this. And that that explains why I relate to you so much too, because I'm kind of like, yeah, all this stuff too. And so that explains why I'm like, because the first day I saw your group, because I really don't do a lot of groups. You know, I join them and stuff, and but it's hard to be active in them and do all the stuff that I do. And but your group, yeah, I'm in there quite a bit, you know, and I'm like, I just love this group. I just love this group, and and you're definitely, it's a wonderful group. And I've invited people there. I've got a few people that have come there. So, and that's, I just don't do that. So thank you for having me, and thank you for being so supportive, and thank you for doing Every Life is a Story. Keep us informed. Let us know how you do. And when you get your life coaching going, come back and talk about it and let us know how that's going. Post all your stuff on my pages. My people are going to expect to see it. They're going to be, where's Millie? Where's Millie? Okay, y'all, where's Millie? You ask her if you, okay. Y'all know where to find her. And Millie does welcome people to the group. So, you know, and follow the blog, and she's going to be sharing the blog. And when I forget, she will.
Definitely. I definitely will.
And I'll have a link up as well. So thank you. And thank you all for joining Every Life is a Story. You know what I'm going to say. All of you do. No matter what's been going on today, no matter what time of day it is that you're watching this, doesn't matter if it's been the top of the hour, the bottom of the hour, whether the day is just getting started or it's in the middle of the day or the day is just about over. It's not too late to reset it if it's not going the way you want. It's your life, your story. Just take a deep breath and write it your way. As long as you're breathing, you're not out of ink. I'm not through writing mine. You're not through writing yours either. Let's write them together. Thanks for joining me. See y'all again soon. Bye.